Our objective for this lesson is to use the rules of indices, such as in the questions on this page. Let's start with what happens when you multiply indices together. In this example, we've got p to the power of 5 multiplied by p squared. Well, p to the power of 5 is p times p times p times p times p. We're timesing that by p squared, which is another p times p. Well, we've got 7 p's there, all multiplying together. So that must be the same as p to the power of 7. All we've done is we've added those two powers together. Let's look at another example now in the same way. So we've got r cubed times r to the power of 6 times r squared. So r cubed is r times r times r. We're multiplying that by r to the power of 6. So there's another 6 r's all multiplied together. We're multiplying that by r squared. So there's another 2 on the end. So let's look at how many r's we've got. Well, we've got 3, add 6, add 2, giving us a final answer of r to the power of 11. So whenever you are multiplying indices, as long as the bases are all the same, so they're all r in this case, we just add the indices together. Now what about if we're dividing with indices? Let's look at this in a diagram. So we're going to do y to the power of 8 divided by y cubed. So y to the power of 8, that's 8 y's all multiplying together, and we're dividing by y cubed. So let's write this in a fraction form, like that. Well, we've got a fraction now. It's got y's on top and bottom, so we can start to cancel some out. So there's one pair of y's cancelled, there's another pair, there's another pair. So all we're left with now is y times y times y times y times y on the top. We've taken the 8 that we originally had, we've taken off the 3, we're left with y to the power of 5. So now, dividing with indices, we're taking away that second power from the first one. Let's look at another example in a similar way. M to the power of 4 divided by m to the power of 6. There's our m to the power of 4. We're dividing by m to the power of 6. Let's start cancelling. Cancel off the first pair, second pair, third pair, fourth pair. We're left with m times m on the bottom of the fraction. So the same thing has happened again. If we take away that second power from the first, 4 take away 6, we're left with m to the power of minus 2, which is what our diagram shows us. So whenever we're dividing with indices, we have to take the second one away from the first one. Pause the video and have a go at these practice questions. The answers will appear shortly. Let's look now at what happens if you take a power of a power. In this example, we're going to take x squared and we're then going to cube it. So let's try and break this down again. So x squared all cubed just means we've got x squared times by x squared times by x squared. Cubed means we've got it on the page 3 times. Well, we know from our previous rule that if we multiply powers together, we add the indices. So this must be the same as x to the power of 2 add 2 add 2. Well, we've got 3 2's there. That's the same as x to the power of 2 times 3. So our final answer is x to the power of 6. We've multiplied those two indices, 2 and 3, together. Let's try it again. This one's p to the power of 4, all to the power of 7. Well, that's going to be p to the power of 4 times by itself, times by itself, times by itself, and again and again, and again 7 times. So using our rule for when we're multiplying powers, that must be the same as p to the power of 4, add 4, add 4, add 4, add 4, add 4, add 4, 7 times. 4 times 7 gives us a final answer of p to the power of 28. So if we're taking a power of a power, we just multiply those two powers together. Sometimes you might be faced with a problem that brings together more than one rule. So in this example, we've got q to the power of 5 times q cubed all squared. So let's start in the brackets. If we're multiplying powers together, we add. So that becomes q to the power of 5 add 3 all squared. Well, that's q to the power of 8. We've then got a power of a power. So let's times the 8 and the 2 together, which gives us a final answer of q to the power of 16. So you just work through the steps one at a time, remembering your BODMAS, and you'll get the right answer. So remember, our rules are, if you multiply two powers together, you add the indices to get your final answer. If you're dividing them, you take the second power away from the first power. If it's a power of a power, you multiply the two powers together. If you remember the examples we've used in this video, this will make these three formula a lot easier to remember. Pause the video and have a go at these practice questions. The answers will appear at the end of the video.